So we're going to talk a little bit about what a balanced customer-led product strategy is. The importance of customer focus. I'm going to talk about who is your customer, getting to the core problem, what is a product, innovation, market research, and then we're going to do a little bit about AI market research. I'm going to adjust that a little bit because in my example, it's an auto shop, so it's going to be JRS instead of what's up there. Next, please. So, as I was learning to become a product manager, as I was working for the different companies, I was sort of building product management on the fly because most of these companies didn't really have product management. When I founded my company, I was able to sort of land the airplane and put it together. And what I realized is there are some basic factors in managing your product and your product strategy. The first is your culture and brand. Who are you? You're a craft shop. You're a bookkeeping company. You're an auto shop. But more than that, what's your vision? What kind of difference are you going to make in the world? Every company should have some sort of vision. And I always like to say, make sure it is person-focused. Think about your customer, your people, not just we sell widgets to anybody who walks through the door. What kind of difference do you make in somebody's life? Customer needs. Well, let's go with competencies first. What are you good at? You probably won't go to JRS and get a taco. But if your car is having problems, that's probably where you got to go. That's where the competencies are. And your customer needs. I heard Julia talking about her customer needs. I heard you guys talk about your customer needs as well. If you keep those in balance, it'll help you with focus, balance, and planning. And it gives you context in your market. So it helps you helps guide you so you're not off chasing wild dreams and trying to boil the ocean, trying to be everything to everybody. You're actually focused on the customers and the products and the things that really will make a difference. Next. So I'm going to tell you a story. It's in the military. We just got back from Germany. My wife was just far enough away from delivery with our third son to be able to fly back from Germany. We got to Maryland. In Germany, we realized we can't get 3 car seats across the back seat of our car, so we needed a new car. So as soon as we got settled in, we started visiting dealerships. First one we went to, we walked in, and the first thing we were asked is, "Are you going to buy today?" We said, "No, we're just looking." "Okay, we don't want to talk to you." So we walked out the door. The second one we walked into, mind you, very pregnant wife, 2 little boys under 3 years old in tow, and he starts talking about resale value. Okay, within 5 years, that car is going to have crayons, chocolate, and French fries ground into the car. Resale value is not what we were concerned about. We were worried about the safety of our kids, getting 3 car seats across the car, and a reliable car. Finally, we went to a third dealership. We walked in. The salesperson looked at our family, talked to us a little bit, found out what we were concerned about, took us over to a Ford Explorer, let the boys crawl around inside. Then when it was time to talk to us, he took the boys over to a playroom, put on a Disney movie, gave them some Legos and let them play, and started talking about, well, you said you need this, you said you need this, you said you need this. This car has side curtain airbags, it has a 3rd row back seat that is a lot bigger than the competition. All the things, he went down the list of all the things we told him that we needed. We walked out that night with the car. Now, if the first one had taken that approach, we had the money to buy the car. They would have got the sell. So when you have somebody that walks into your store, even if they're not going to buy, or when they walk in and they say, "I need a shovel," ask them what they need, what they're going to do with the shovel. You know, are they going to dig a big hole? Going to dig a little hole? Are they going to dig a post hole? Because that will determine what kind of shovel they need. They're not coming in to buy a shovel, they're coming in because they need to dig a hole. Next, please. So, sales first versus customer-led sales. When all you're worried about is getting the sale, it leads to high-pressure sales, business knows best, profit over satisfaction, cost over quality. And it results in burnt bridges, reputation damage, low employee morale, legal risk, and most of all, buyer's remorse. Especially if you're in a small town, buyer's remorse will kill your business faster than anything. Because, as I noticed here, as you guys are walking in, everybody knows my brother. He knows everybody. He's pointing to everybody and saying, you know, oh, she's really cool. Julia's awesome. JRS is a great place to take my car. You know, all these type of things. You know, it's a small business. You burn a bridge, it gets around, and people don't come back. On the other side, if you're a solution partner, so you're solving problems for your customers, not just selling them stuff. You're listening to them. The customer-centered culture. I heard that from JRS. It's about our customers. Listening to the customer when they come in and they say, I've got a rattle in the back end of my car. Well, I had a rattle in the back end of my car. I realized I forgot to take the clay pigeons out of the back of my car. But I'm sure when you go in, they're going to start asking you a little bit more questions. It's like when you go to a doctor, my arm hurts. Well, why does your arm hurt? Because I did too many pull-ups at CrossFit. Okay, well, that'll go away in a week. But if after they dig down a little bit, they find out that there are other problems going on, you got carpal tunnel syndrome, then there are other things you do. But a doctor will always dig down a little bit. So listening to the customer and uncovering the root problem, and then solving the problem over making the sale. Miracle on 39th Street, it's that Christmas movie, where the real Santa Claus comes and he's like in Macy's and telling people to go to other stores, and all of a sudden Macy's is making more money. If you're a problem solver, people come back, generally speaking. The result is trust, good reputation, relationships, and return customers and referrals. Being a problem solver and having relationships with your customers does a lot of things. It brings them back, but it also makes sure that you know what your customers' problems are. Next, please. So, who's your customer? Depending on your business, you have external and internal customers. Some of the products I've managed were more for internal teams. Fine arts, a lot of the products we had were things that our art handlers would use to pack up the painting so that it makes it safely to wherever it's going. But they're still customers. Your external customers, it can be your distributor, it's not just your end user. It could be the retailer, and it could be the end user. Internal, it could be a user of tools. If you do IT, often that's an internal thing. So productions management is always, of course, a lot of you are the managers, but the people that are developing products, management, you're a customer. Next. So, Kenneth D. Elliott, the Vice President of Sales for Studebaker Corporation, said, the customer is not dependent on us, we're dependent on them. If you've been in business for a while, you know that, but it's absolutely true. The customer is not an interruption of our work, he is the purpose of it. The customer is not a rank outsider to our business, he is part of it. The customer is not a statistic, he is a flesh and blood human being completely equipped with biases, prejudices, emotions, pulse, blood chemistry, and possibly a sufficiency of certain vitamins. Customer is not someone to argue with or match wits against. He is a person who brings his wants. If we have sufficient imagination, we will endeavor to handle them profitably to him and to ourselves. Think about that every time somebody walks through your door. You may not be feeling all that good. You may have just had a customer that yelled at you. But the reason we're in business is our customers. So what a lack of customer focus costs, and I'll just let you sort of read that. Okay. So essentially, a lot of businesses put out a product that falls flat. And the biggest reason is because they're not listening to their customers. So next. So customer partnerships. Commerce, business is an exchange of value. Your customer has two things. They have needs and they have money. You have solutions. And if your pricing and the solutions you provide are valuable enough to them, they will give you their money, and you will provide their solution. Now, if you gouge them, if you charge them too much, or you give them less than they expected, then you'll end up with buyer's remorse, and they won't come back. I don't know if you can see that. He's asking for chicken, she's giving him a fish. How often do we do that? We don't have any chickens, so we are going to talk you into a fish. I have car dealership trying to do that. Next, please. So who do you focus on? Your most valuable customer. For those of you who did the survey, I asked about who your most valuable customer is. Now, no business can please every single person or provide what every single person needs. It's important I was in some training. We had some very young, exuberant young men who were starting a business making nutrition bars. They were asked, who is your customer? They said everybody. Okay, yes, everybody can eat a nutrition bar, but not everybody will want your nutrition bar. Who is your nutrition bar for? Is it for the CrossFit guys? Or is it for the couch potatoes that sit behind the desk and spreadsheets all day? Who is it for? Think about your product that way. Best fit? Who's the first in line whenever you have a new product? Think about the Apple store, the Apple fanatics, that as soon as Apple comes out with a new phone, they're out there with their tent, sitting on the sidewalk, waiting for the store to open. I'm an Android person. You know, the first person that Apple should be looking at is the person who is passionate about their product. Most likely to pay for your solution. You don't have to talk them into it because you already solved their problem. They know. Advocate for your business. Those are the most important ones. It's a lot cheaper to get a customer by referral than it is to pay however many dollars the local radio station or Google AdWords wants you to pay. But there are other key customers. That doesn't mean you ignore everybody and you just go after one subset of customers. Think about the other ones. But if you have to make a decision between one alternative or the other, always choose the one that will please your key customer, your most valuable customer. Next, please. So, what is a product? I had a job interview the other day, and this was a company that makes physical products. They were asking about my time in the fine arts, and she kept asking, what is your product? What product did you guys sell? A product can be something you hold in your hand. A product can be a piece of software on your phone. But a product can also be a service. Accounting. Do you hand them a physical piece of, okay, you may print off their taxes and hand it to them. But for the most part, your product is a service. It is not any less of a product than Julia's fabric. It's still a product. I don't know how many of you have kids and you bought them the perfect Christmas present and all they wanted was the box. Your product is what you intend it to be, but and what you designed it to be. It's also how it performs, but it's also what your customer thinks it is, what your customer does with it, and what it does for your customer. Bubble wrap was invented as wallpaper. How many of you have bubble wrap on your walls? I have 6 kids. Sometimes bubble wrap on the wall would have been a good idea. But the customers looked at bubble wrap and said, I wouldn't put that on my wall, but I'll wrap it around a piece of glass, a piece of crystal glass, and put it when I need to move it. So, what is product management? In short, it is understanding what the customers need and making sure your product portfolio, all of your product portfolio, not just 1 or 2 products, meet your customers' needs. And when I say a portfolio, A portfolio, a good, balanced, optimized portfolio will solve not just one customer need, but when you put them all together. In that job interview, I explained that we had, because a piece of art, some of the art that we moved was bubble gum stuck to a paper. There was also one I saw that was dandelion puffs. Some of them weigh tons, and some of them are just, there's one that's a banana duct taped to the wall. But every piece of art was different. But we had a portfolio of solutions that our art handlers could pull from and build a full solution for the customer. If they have to go out and find another part of the solution to get it done, that's a place to look at. But that doesn't mean that you need to provide that solution, but look at that and say, can I give them a 360-degree solution rather than just one part of the solution, so they have to go to my competitor to get the rest of it. Next, please. So innovation. What is innovation? My son and I were having an interesting conversation the other day. Inventors, innovators, are inherently lazy. They will spend 5 hours to save 5 minutes. Spend 5 hours developing something so that they don't have to spend, they can spend 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes doing something, especially if they do it over and over again. What can we innovate on? We can innovate on almost anything. When we understand our customers and we can find ways to make their life better, then that's something we think about innovating on. New technologies, new products, new services, new processes, new stories. When you think about your marketing, you can innovate on your marketing. How else can they use my product? Next, please. So, okay, we're getting into market research. Voice of the customer research, that's the most important one. How many of you have stores? How many have customers that walk into your business? That is the most important source of market research. One of the businesses that I worked for, we had a really awesome customer service department. They would answer calls, they would solve problems, customers would go away happy, but nobody was collecting what the customers were saying, what problems they were having, how they solved the problem. When your customer comes in, and especially when they're upset with your product, but also when they come in, just ask them. First of all, get to know them. Know their family, know their situation, know what they do for a living, know as much as you can about them. But ask how you're doing. You might need a pretty thick skin because hopefully they will tell you exactly how you're doing. But that's the only way you're going to know how you can improve, if you know how you're doing. If you have customer service people or service delivery people who work for you, who are day-to-day, face-to-face with the customer, take them in every once in a while. Buy some pizza or donuts or whatever, sit down and say, what are the customers telling you? What are they complaining about? What are they frustrated about? Focus groups, you can call your customers in and talk to them. Just a group of your most valuable customers, talk to them. Watering holes. If you fix vehicles, go out on the desert where people are beating the heck out of their vehicles and be out there with them. Maybe, you come out there and somebody just broke something and help them out. And you just mentioned that I own BGS Auto. Just walk the street, talk to people. I had a couple of young entrepreneurs, they were making watch bands. They wanted to know how to do market research. I said, well, okay, you're wearing a watch. When you see somebody wearing a watch, walk up to them and start talking about the watch. Ask them what they think about the watch band. And just talk to people. You gotta get out of your comfort zone, but it works. Government resources, Chamber of Commerce. This is probably the most important place you could be with other business owners, talking about what works, what doesn't work in this network. Small Business Development Center, shout out for the Small Business Development Center. Custom fit, training, just advice, small business loans, you can get all that stuff there. Government websites, Department of Labor Statistics, Census Bureau. It has all kinds of fun stuff on it. We need to find out how many drywall products that we would sell. So I need to know how many drywall companies there were in the United States. There's no website for that. Do it yourself on resources. Did you know that every product on Amazon has a ranking? And did you know there's a website called Jungle Scout that will tell you what that ranking means and how many how many items that is selling every day? That's a good indication of if you're going to invent something, if you're going to market something, it's a good way to know if it's market fit or not, or if there's demand. Web researches, AI, we're going to talk about that. And then you can go out and you can pay somebody like me a whole bunch of money, and we can do research for you. Next, please. So, listen, collaborate, and solve the problems. Okay? So, gather customer input, identify the real problem, jobs to be done, cross-functional teams, innovate, okay, and communicate. So this is the 5 whys. In a nutshell, essentially when a customer comes in and I talk about a shovel, they come in and say, I need a shovel. Ask them why. I need to dig a hole. Why? Because my fence is broken. Why? Because the fence post rotted out. Why? Because there's too much water in the soil. Then it gets you down to where you can build with some solutions. They probably don't need a shovel, they need a post hole digger. They were probably using an untreated post or not a T-post. Maybe they just need a T-post driver and a T-post that will last long. But that gets you to a solution rather than just selling them a shovel. Next, please. Okay, AI. Again, Kenzie wanted me, she said, you can only come if you talk about AI. No, she didn't say that, but she said, would you please talk about AI? So, AI is really powerful, but there are a lot of things you need to be careful with. It can help you with market research, brainstorming, marketing, data analysis and trends. You can write AI agents. In addition to having my own business, I'm also looking for work. I have an AI agent that goes out every day and finds jobs for me. It turns out it works better than LinkedIn or Indeed because it's tailored to me. But AI agents are really good for repetitive tools, repetitive tasks. So, advantages of AI is speed. I don't know how many of you have looked for something on Google and the first 5 pages have nothing at all on it. And finally, you find what you're looking for. AI does all that work for you and pulls out the stuff that you really need. The breadth of resources. Depending how it's trained, there are different models. Gemini is powered by Google, which is the biggest search engine. That's one I usually go with, but I use GPT as well. But if you're a software developer, Claude is actually better. There are all kinds of different, there's one for academic research that goes out and finds stuff for that. But it's also conversational. And when I was working for my clients that I do market research for growth stage businesses, they asked me if I had Zoom info. I went and looked for Zoom info. $12,000 a year. So I don't have that much money. So they asked me, well, do you do AI research? I have a business. If you have a website that you get through Google, if you have Google Workspace, you have Gemini Pro. And ChatGPT is $25 a month if you pay for a year. It's a lot cheaper than $12,000. But there are a lot of limitations. Garbage in, garbage out. If you give it the wrong prompt, it will give you the wrong answer. Hallucinations. It's like a new college intern. If they don't know the answer, they will make it up. So in the same way you would with an intern, ask for sources and check the facts. I was just having a conversation, I forget your name, but we were talking about software development using AI. It only gets them 75% there. If he took that 75% solution and threw it out on the market, he'd be spending more time with customer service trying to solve problems than he saved by just throwing it at AI. So make sure you check its work and use it as a starting point, a rough draft, and move on from there. And not all AIs are created equal. Like I said, I do research, Gemini is awesome. You do software development, Claude is better than Gemini. Some pointers: ask the right question in the right format. So there's prompt engineering, I'll talk about that later. Multi-shot prompts, that's just asking it several questions in a row to make sure you get what you want. You can use AI to optimize the prompt. You say, I have this question, write me a prompt, get me the answer. Check the results, ask for resources, ask for confidence ratings. You can ask the AI, okay, so when I do a market research report, I say, I am a market researcher for company ABC. I need to know XYZ, and then it gives me a report, and I say, now, you are my boss. I want you to look at the report and tell me what's wrong with it. And then I say, okay, AI, take that report, take that feedback, and improve the report. So, and the biggest one is it doesn't make sense. Again, don't trust it blindly. Never, ever, ever just trust what AI gives you from the get-go. You know a lot of things already. If it doesn't make sense, it's probably wrong. Thanks, Lee. Okay, so here's a prompt. I am going to use JRS instead of, what is it, Bill's auto repair. This is now JRS auto. Okay, so this is how you do a prompt. There are several pieces to it. It's a role, give it a role. You are a market researcher hired by JRS Auto in Richfield, Utah. Background, what does JRS Auto do? Goal, what do you want out of it? The task, this is where you tell it exactly what you want it to do. Tell what kind of format you want. Do you want just the text on the screen, or do you want a downloadable bullet point document, 10 pages, a 12-point font? You can put all that in there. Give some constraints. Don't tell it that you're not looking for information on people that live in Price. Because if my car's acting up in Price, I probably won't drive to Richfield unless I want to come down here and use a pick and pull. Price doesn't have pick and pull. Richfield's the closest one. So thank you, and thank you for being an awesome community for my little brother.